On day 43, StevenCallahan tried to stand up. He couldn't. His legs, the same legs that had carried him across the Atlantic under sail, had started consuming themselves. Not as a figure of speech. Literally, his body, starved of calories for 6 weeks, had turned to its own muscle tissue for fuel. The process is called catabolism, and it doesn't ask permission. He was floating somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean, alone, on a raft the size of a bathtub, and his body, the only machine he had left, was eating itself from the inside out. The question isn't how he survived 76 days adrift. The question is why his body didn't stop on day 12. Anatomy of Survival. January 29th, 1982. StevenCallahan set sail from the Canary Islands alone. He's aboard his 6.5-meter sloop, the Napoleon Solo. He's 29 years old, an experienced sailor, and a boat designer by trade. Heading for Antigua, roughly 4,000 miles west across the open Atlantic. 6 days out, in the middle of the night, something hits the hull. Nobody knows exactly what it was. A whale, most likely. What is certain? The Napoleon Solo begins taking on water fast. Within minutes, Callahan is in the ocean, fighting to inflate his emergency life raft. In total darkness, in open water, in the dead of night, he grabs what he can before the boat goes under. A sleeping bag, a spear gun, 3 weeks of emergency rations, a solar still, a device that uses sunlight to pull fresh water from the sea. Slowly, painfully, 1 drop at a time, the raft measures 5.5 feet across. He watches his boat sink. And then there's nothing. Just ocean. Just silence. Just a 29-year-old man on a rubber disc, somewhere between Africa and the Americas, with no radio signal and no certainty that anyone is coming. What happens next is not a story of willpower. It's a story of biology. Because survival, at its most fundamental level, isn't decided by the mind. It's decided by the body. And StevenCallahan's body was about to be pushed further than almost any human body in recorded history. And what it did to stay alive is still studied by physiologists today. This is what happened. Inside, Callahan has roughly 3 weeks of emergency rations. He starts rationing immediately, a few hundred calories a day. His body's first response is predictable. Blood sugar drops. The liver releases its stored glycogen. And within 24 hours, that reserve is nearly gone. So the body switches fuel. It starts burning fat. That transition, called ketosis, produces a faint sweetness on the breath, like nail polish remover. Callahan would have noticed it. His brain, running short on glucose, starts running on ketone bodies instead. It works, but it's slower, and it costs. His water supply depends entirely on his solar still. On a good day, it produces half a liter. The minimum for basic survival is 1 liter. From the very first day, StevenCallahan is running a water deficit. At 2% dehydration, cognitive performance starts to slip. Decision-making slows. Reaction time drops. He's already there by nightfall on day 1, and he has 75 days left. By the end of the first week, he catches his first fish, a Dorado, using his spear gun through the raft wall. That's a breakthrough. Fresh fish provides protein, fat, and crucially, fluid. The liquid inside a freshly caught fish is low in salt, effectively drinkable. His body recognizes the input and responds. But the numbers are still brutal. He's burning more than he's taking in. Every day, his body runs the same calculation. What do I sacrifice today to keep the heart beating? In week 2, the answer is muscle. Skeletal muscle catabolism begins when fat stores aren't enough. The body goes for peripheral muscles first. Calves, forearms, thighs. The process releases amino acids that the liver converts to glucose. It's extraordinarily efficient, and it's destroying him. By day 14, Callahan has lost around 5 kilograms. His body has started consuming itself, and it still hasn't reached its limits. Days 20 through 40 are where most people die, not from one catastrophic failure, but from accumulation. Saltwater sores that won't close because the immune system has nothing left. Sleep deprivation from the constant motion of the raft. The weight of scanning the horizon and seeing nothing, again and again and again. 3 ships pass within sight. None of them see him. There's something else happening that the numbers don't capture. Cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone, has been flooding his system since day 1. In short bursts, cortisol is useful. It sharpens focus, mobilizes energy, keeps the body alert. But after 3 weeks of continuous release, it becomes corrosive. It suppresses the immune system further. It accelerates muscle breakdown. It disrupts sleep architecture so completely that even the few hours Callahan manages on the raft don't fully restore him. He's not just starving, he's running on a system chemically stressed for 20 consecutive days. And yet his fishing routine, the daily discipline of hunting, repairing, logging, provides something the body desperately needs: structure. Purposeful physical activity, even minimal, signals to the hypothalamus that the organism is still functional, still engaged. It's a signal the body uses: keep investing resources in maintenance or begin the final shutdown sequence. Callahan's routine may have bought him more time than his rations did, and yet something remarkable is happening inside. His body is adapting. Prolonged starvation triggers what's called the starvation response. The body dials down its basal metabolic rate. Heart rate drops. Core temperature falls slightly. Non-essential functions, hair growth, immune response, reproductive hormones go offline. The body isn't giving up. It's reorganizing its priorities. It's deciding at a cellular level what matters most. Keep the brain oxygenated. Keep the heart beating. Everything else is negotiable. Between weeks 4 and 6, Callahan loses weight more slowly than in weeks 1 through 3. His body has found a new equilibrium, a lower, more sustainable burn rate. It's the most extraordinary survival mechanism the human body has, and almost no research exists on people who've survived long enough to experience it this deeply. Day 56. This is the moment. Not day 1 when the boat sank. Not day 14 when the muscle breakdown started. Not day 43, when he couldn't stand. Day 56 is when the body should have stopped. Here's why. By this point, Callahan has lost over 30% of his body weight. His serum albumin has collapsed. His legs are so swollen the skin has started to crack. His immune system, running on near-zero resources, can no longer contain the infections in his wounds. But the critical threshold is this. At 30% body weight loss, the heart muscle itself starts to atrophy. The heart is a muscle. Like every other muscle, it can be broken down. When the body exhausts its peripheral muscles and fat stores, it begins consuming cardiac muscle as a last resort. The heart wall thins. Its output drops. The electrical system governing its rhythm becomes unstable. That's the point where survival medicine stops calling death a risk and starts calling it an expectation. Refeeding syndrome, where food after extreme starvation can trigger fatal cardiac arrhythmia, exists for exactly this reason. The heart has been so compromised that even a surge of glucose can overwhelm it. StevenCallahan was past that threshold. His heart should have started to fail. And yet, on day 56, he caught a triggerfish. He repaired a leak in the raft using gear he'd fashioned from equipment on board. He recorded the event in his log, the same log he'd kept for 56 consecutive days at sea. The body had reached its limit, and then it decided the limit wasn't the end. No one can tell you exactly why. Physiology can describe what happened. It can't fully explain how. That gap between what the data predicts and what the body actually does is why this story still matters today. April 21st, 1982, day 76. A group of fishermen off the coast of Guadeloupe spot something in the water, a deflated orange raft, barely visible above the surface. A man inside, skeletal, covered in sores, barely conscious. They pull him aboard. StevenCallahan weighs 54 kilograms. He left the Canary Islands at 73. He's lost 19 kilograms, roughly 26% of his body weight. His legs are badly infected. His skin has the texture of paper. He has been alone at sea for 76 days. He is alive. So why didn't his body stop on day 12? Here's the closest answer physiology can give. 3 mechanisms kept StevenCallahan alive past every expected threshold. First, metabolic downregulation. His body cut its energy expenditure by an estimated 30 to 40%, slowing the heart, lowering core temperature, taking non-critical systems offline. It burned less to last longer. Second, protein sparing through fish. That consistent intake gave his body just enough protein and essential fatty acids to slow cardiac muscle catabolism. His heart was compromised, but the system never completely abandoned it. Third, what physiologists call the survival ceiling. The human body under extreme stress maintains function far longer than any laboratory model predicts. Callahan's case is one of the most cited in survival medicine, precisely because it sits at the outer edge of what should be physiologically possible. His body didn't survive because it was exceptional. It survived because the human body, Any human body is built with margins we rarely encounter and almost never understand. What StevenCallahan's body did over those 76 days is not an anomaly. It's a demonstration. The metabolic downshift, the protein sparing, the cardiac preservation under extreme depletion, none of it was special. These aren't special adaptations. They're standard equipment. They exist in your body right now, dormant, waiting for conditions that most of us will never face. The body isn't fragile. It's conservative. It protects what matters. It sacrifices what it can afford to lose. And it does this automatically, silently, without asking you. That is the anatomy of survival. That is how Callahan's body carried him. It downshifted, spared its protein, and kept his heart beating. It slowed everything it could slow and protected everything it could not afford to lose. It never chose to give up, even when every reason said it should. 76 days adrift, and he survived. The body should have died. It didn't. If this episode gave you something, subscribe. Every week, one story, one body, one question. Anatomy of Survival.